Hey everybody, welcome. Good morning. It is Friday, July 11th. It is 8 a.m. in my time zone, 1500 GMT. So wherever you are, it is the end of the week. Thank goodness we made it. I hope that you're doing well. Really glad that you're able to spend some time with me here on YouTube on our usual data roundtable stream. I got to tell you, I had some challenges this morning. I almost didn't start on time over here. I have made an executive decision that I am going to be streaming exclusively on YouTube and on Instagram. From now on, that is it. I am done streaming on Twitch, on Kick, on X. It's too many pieces of software that get in the way. So I'm going to make that decision from now on. It's only going to be YouTube and Instagram. Every other platform, I'm just going to keep it as a legacy account. But this morning, my restreamer was having some problems. And then my chat hasn't been working right the past couple days. So that's it. I'm done. I'm done with all the heartache and the stress and all that. 'Cause, it takes a lot to get a stream started. Some people think you just get on here and you press play. And it's not like that at all. It's actually kind of difficult. So if you're listening to me right now, you are 100% on YouTube. I stream on YouTube every single day, 1500 GMT. And then I switch over to Instagram at approximately 1600 GMT. Been getting great questions on both platforms. And it's funny how it's shaping up that on this platform, on YouTube, we tend to have a little bit more like elevated conversations, right? We tend to talk a little bit more about advanced topics, I think. Whereas over on Instagram, it's definitely a lot more about jobs and about studies. A little bit of an earlier audience. I want to say I don't always want to say a younger audience, but definitely an early audience. You know what? And I'll tell you guys a little secret that I found out via my coaching and everything else. I say that they are a newer or less experienced viewer because I get a lot of people who are a little bit older. Maybe they already have a career, maybe they already have other degrees, but they're new to data science. So they're still going to ask me questions that somebody who is new out of school or new into any profession is going to ask me just because they're new also to data science. But that doesn't mean that they're young, right? I mean, I have coaching clients in their late 20s and their early 30s, mid 30s, and even beyond that, right? So I'm always kind of careful on how I say that because just because somebody watches me on Instagram and is asking questions about their first data science job doesn't mean they're young. Doesn't mean that they're, fresh out of school. They could be, early 30s and they just got their master's in analytics or something like that, right? Or they're looking for a career change. Still going to be asking me basic questions about data science, but doesn't mean that they're new to the workforce. So, anyways, that's one of those little things that I've learned that kind of helps me um, kind of think about the questions and my audience in a different way. So, just thought I'd pass that along in case that's of interest to anybody. If you're listening to me in the chat, please go ahead and introduce yourself or say hello. The whole purpose of a data roundtable is that anybody can bring whatever topic they want. So you are welcome to just say hello and just chat or anything that's on your mind, feel free to share. I am looking forward to any discussion that the group has, but sometimes I bring little different things. So I'd like to know if anybody out there has any experience with Grok 4. So we've had access to Grok 4 for about what, like 48 hours now? Maybe a little bit less than that, right? It was released, what? I guess it would have been Wednesday night? Yeah, Wednesday night, I think. I have spent a little bit of time with it. I put a quick poll up on my Instagram yesterday, and I'll be publishing those results later today. Doesn't seem that I'm getting such an overwhelming, like, strong reply for it. What do you think? Are you seeing any benefits to Grok 4? You know, I mean, obviously, obviously, I know that Elon Musk has his fanboys, right? There'll always be people who support him no matter what he does. But let me know if you had any experiences with Grok 4. Anything that pops out at you? I think yesterday I might have shared the experience that I had a question, and I usually like to use multiple AIs for the same prompt. And Grok 4, this new advanced engine, gave me the exact same answer that at least one other LLM gave me. Like almost literally the exact answer. It felt like maybe they were pulling from similar sources. So my initial take on Grok 4 is that I'm not overly impressed. I'm not seeing the leaps forward that other people seem to be experiencing or certainly talking about on social media. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. Osama, our good friend Osama in the chat says, "Hi Dennis, hope everything is going well." It's a Friday, Osama. How can things not be going well? How can things not be going well? Friday is when I check in with all of my coaching clients. I say hello, how are you? Can I help you with anything? You know, I try to make sure everyone's doing well. So I'm going to be doing that later today. So it makes Friday my best day of the week. So everything's going well. I hope the same for you, Osama. Let us know how you're doing out there in I believe you live in Satat. So let me know how things are going out there in Satat. I know you told me it's hot. Hopefully you get to drive up to the beach in Casablanca. I know that's not too far from you guys. So hopefully you get to spend some time at the beach up there. Casual Economist says, "Oh, and your IG viewers are PyTorch users. That's the difference." That's funny. That's funny. So, obviously, Casual Economist is referring to one of my many beefs. What's funny is that one of my new followers said, I've only been here for 24 hours and I already know Dennis has a beef with PyTorch. But the problem is that that's the only beef they know about. I got plenty of beefs, guys. Plenty of beefs. I think men of a certain age, such as myself, you know, we got to have our revenge list, right? So yeah, definitely. You're right about that, Casual Economist. There are some PyTorch pros over there, so we'll see how that ends up. Crypto Hustler, how are you? I think you're new, so welcome. I think it's your first time here. Thanks for joining us. Crypto Hustler says, "Hi Dennis, hope you had a nice day." Yeah, having a real nice day. Well, really, my day's still to be defined. I just started my day. It's 8 a.m. on my end. It's very early on my end. But I do get up early. Today I've been up since about 4 a.m. So my day is going well. Took my dog to the dog park. Did a little grocery shopping, came home, made myself a big plate of eggs and sausage. So it's been a good day. Can't complain. You know, I'm doing my keto. I'm doing my smoothies. I'm doing my spinach and kale and all that other good stuff you're supposed to do. So everything is going well. Thank you, Crypto Hustler. So Crypto Hustler, in case you don't know, data roundtable. Open format. Any questions, any thoughts you want to share, let me know. So speaking of thoughts, Casual Economist says, "You got any thoughts on OpenAI's new web browser?" Great conversation. And if you guys want to pitch in on that, feel free to put your thoughts in the chat. So I'll give you my view, even though I realize that may bias the conversation, right? But I will say that it makes sense, right? It makes sense that if you want to be a company that's really providing cutting edge AI tools, you really want to push the envelope, you really want to like kind of inject AI in the things that people do. You can't be a Chrome plugin forever, right? Like you can't be a browser plugin forever because you'll never fully own the platform, right? So it makes complete sense that OpenAI is doing that. And I think a couple others are doing that, right? I think it was I think Perplexity, didn't Perplexity also announce that they were working on their own browser? Um, so yeah, so it makes sense that these OpenAI companies will be doing that, right? Like from a business strategic perspective, right? I get it. On the other hand, and speaking of beefs, right? It's just another way to take over your data, right? Because now they can get your browsing history, the accounts you have, subscriptions you have, so on and so forth, right? So they'll call it helping you, with AI, but they're going to be using that data, right? So am I excited about that second part? No, absolutely not, right? But that feels like that's kind of like where we're headed, right? Like they're just going to use it to take over your data or use it for more training or use it for whatever, right? For future sponsorships, right? I mean, because we still don't know what like the sponsored world of AI looks like, right? I mean, we're starting to see it a little bit right now where you can like, it's kind of like this SEO for LLMs is kind of like starting to bubble up as a field and stuff, right? But what if they're going to just collect all this data just to do better targeted advertisings in the future, right? So am I excited about that? No, but that's probably where it's headed, right? So I hate to be a little bit cynical or a little bit alarmist about that because I fully understand that that's how it can come off. But like I mean, speaking of beefs, you guys know that I have no respect for these tech CEOs. They're all sociopaths, right? So I mean, they're going to use the data, right? They're going to not. It's not like they're not going to use it, right? So, anyways, that's what I think. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to listen to other opinions because I don't want to kill the conversation or bias you guys. Even though in a way I have, but I don't know if I'm on board with that second part. Crypto Hustler says that's great. Actually, I'm not new. I just completed the NN series. Oh yeah, Crypto. I meant new to the chats and new to the live streams because I'm pretty good at remembering who's in the live streams. I think this might be your first live stream, but either way, welcome. I'm glad you saw the neural network series. That was a heck of a series. A lot of fun to put together. Honestly, not to pat myself on the back too much, but those last 3 weeks of that neural network series might be some of the best instruction I've done. I'm really proud of putting out that work. So thank you for watching that series. I think it's pretty helpful. So thanks for your support there. Casual Economist says sounds like Google 2.0. Yeah, but doesn't it feel like it could be a lot deeper than that though, Casual Economist? Because people put in some pretty personal, sensitive things into AI engines, right? I mean, this is going to make me sound like some paranoid freak or something, but I have gotten into the habit of that I never talk about myself to AI. I always talk in the third person because I don't want that data to be, or those, the questions, the answers, the thoughts, the sentiments to be kind of traced back to me as an individual, right? So it just feels like, yes, you're right. It's going to be another like data juggernaut like Google is, but it can get like a lot worse, right? Like from a consumer perspective, right? Like it can get a lot worse. And also now when you're seeing like how LLM is now doing like cross context, right? Like it will take the results and the questions and the context from other unrelated conversations to help shape, the advice it gives you, right? So like if they're doing cross context and now they're going to have like your browsing habits and history and accounts and subscriptions and watch times and all that, like I don't know. I don't know if I'm on board with that. CJ says, hey everyone. Hey CJ, nice to see you. CJ, I know you're not new to the streams and I know I got your country wrong last time. So CJ, you are from Georgia. I believe that's the case. So CJ, let me know if I'm right or wrong, but welcome. Good to see you, my friend. So CJ, in the data roundtable format, anybody can bring up any topic. So anything you want to talk about, let us know. Oh shoot, I blanked out there. Oh, I blanked out on what I was going to say. Sorry, guys. But yeah, the whole point is that anybody can talk about. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So right now, Casual Economist is asking about the OpenAI browser, and really any AI company browser. There's others. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was Perplexity that said they were working on their own browser too. Yeah, pretty sure it was Perplexity. And it's going to happen more and more, right? They're not going to be the only ones. OpenAI and Perplexity, they're just the first ones. So it is going to happen more and more. You know, I switched coffee to try the McDonald's grind coffee. You know, like I bought the McDonald's brand coffee at Walmart. My God, this is terrible coffee. This is terrible. I gotta throw this away. I gotta go back to my Starbucks because I started buying the Starbucks coffee. You know, it's a little cheaper than going to Starbucks every day. But my God, this McDonald's coffee is awful. I gotta throw this away. Okay, CJ says Florida. I'm actually the same person as Yabba Dabba Doo. Oh, you're gonna out yourself. Wow. Okay, cool. Thanks for that, CJ. You know what, CJ? One of my favorite creators, one of the few creators that I consistently watch over on TikTok, is also called Yabba Dabba Doo. Is that you? And I think it's like an orange icon with like a director's slate on it. Is that you also? I mean, I'd be surprised if it was because you know that's a completely unrelated account. But let me know. But my favorite creator on TikTok is also called Yabba Dabba Doo. But anyway, so what do you guys think? So the question in front of us is what's up with the OpenAI browser? What do we think about that? And then, you know, speaking of OpenAI, there's also, you know, the big question right now is also around, you know, bringing on Johnny Ivy, right? What does that look like as far as the wearable, the device, the whatever that is out there, right? Or, you know, supposed to be coming. So that's another thing, right? Like what happens when an AI company has access to every prompt you've ever written, every one of your web habits, right? Your browsing histories, cookies, all that. And they also have access to like, you know, your health data or maybe like, you know, images of where you've been, right? Because assuming it's a glass, right? They'll be saving and archiving those images of where you've been, where you're going, right? You know, maybe the wearable or the glasses are going to be GPS enabled. So now they also know your travel habits, right? What happens when that comes to be? I don't know. I don't know if I'm excited about this. Anybody excited about that? Let me know, guys. Am I being paranoid? Look, if you want to say, look, Dennis, come on, you're being silly. You can tell me that, right? It's totally okay to have dissenting opinions in data science, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm comfortable with them having all of that. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe your level of comfort is different than mine. But like I said, I've started to talk to my LLMs in the third person or in a generic way, right? Like I'll ask questions in a generic way, you know, not using me or I or you know, just asking the question. So CJ says no, that's not him. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, Yabba Dabba Doo is one of the few accounts I follow on TikTok. They post those movie clips or high res clips from the show The Wire. I don't know if you guys know that show from HBO, but The Wire is like my favorite show of all time. Like I think it's the best TV show that's ever been made, and I love watching it, and I love watching the clips. I know a lot about that show. So yeah, that's why your name caught my attention there, because he's one of the great creators on TikTok for that show. So Casual Economist says sounds a little scary. Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, I don't want these psychopaths having all that data. I mean, that's But at the same time, sometimes you read on X or you hear from other people just don't seem to care. They just don't seem to care. Like, yeah, they can have my data. I don't care. Like privacy does not matter to them. Like that's just wild to me. Like how? Like how are you like who hurt you? Um but yeah, so I agree with you, casual economist. I think it's pretty scary too. I mean, they're gonna have your prompts, your browsing, everything you do on the web, and then whatever the wearable is gonna be, right? Oh, the wearable will presumably also have some sort of voice capture capability, right? So now you got AI capturing your voice and stuff like that. I mean, are you on board with that? I'm not. Not to mention the fact that some of the glasses kind of look goofy, right? Like, did you guys see the latest Oakley release from Meta and their new generation of the glasses? I thought that was a complete fail. Those glasses look terrible. And it's a terrible colorway. Who the hell wears white sunglasses? You know how big of a douchebag you have to be to wear white sunglasses? Come on. Casual Economist says, I can't get past the first episode of The Wire. I need to sit down and watch both shows one day. What do you mean by both shows? Which other show are you talking about? But yeah, The Wire is not a fast starter. You got to give it a couple episodes. And when you tell people it's like a cop detective show, people expect like action and like chases, and it's not like that either. It's about dialogue and the story and the character development, but if you get into it and you get into all the seasons, I really think The Wire is one of the finest shows ever made. So yeah, if you guys ever get a chance to sit down with that, I agree. The first couple episodes aren't going to catch you, but otherwise, it's pretty good. Oh! I'm sorry. You said got. You said got to. I thought you meant got to, as in you have to do The Wire. Okay, Game of Thrones. You know what? I haven't seen Game of Thrones at all, guys. I know that makes me a weirdo, but I've never been into like fantasy or sci-fi. That's never been my thing. So Game of Thrones never called to me, and it still doesn't call to me. You know. And I totally admit that I see some shows later. Like I just got Apple TV, so I'm catching up on all the Apple TV shows. But yeah, Game of Thrones just never really did it for me. What streaming service is that on, by the way? And nowadays you don't even know what's on what service, right? Like when you hear about a movie, you got to look up what service it's on first. And do I have a subscription there? No. Do they have a free trial? Yes. Let me. It's so confused. But who has Game of Thrones? I don't even know where it's at. But yeah, I've never seen that, and I know that it's been over for a while, right? Like there's no new episodes of that. Um, but anyways, so if anybody else wants to opine on the Open AI browser or any other topic, feel free to put it in the chat. That's the whole purpose of the data roundtable. Anybody can talk about anything they want. Okay. Okay, Game of Thrones is also on HBO Max. Yeah, okay. That's right. I think it was an HBO show, wasn't it? HBO really does do some quality shows, right? Um, I mean, obviously The Sopranos, right? I think most people have watched The Sopranos. I can't say I was a huge fan of The Sopranos, but I appreciate the show. It's a good show. It's a good watch. But hey, if you guys also want to share what you got going on this weekend, that'd be cool too. For me, I'm going to do some work after the streams today. I got to catch up with my accounting. I got to catch up with my clients. And then I am going to maybe make some lunch, maybe go sit out by the pool. Who knows? Who knows where the day can take us? But happy to hear any other topics that people want to talk about as far as the open format of the data roundtable. For some reason, there was just a huge jump right now in concurrent viewers. So if you're watching, feel free to say hello. Feel free to introduce yourself. The question right now in front of the group is, what do you have any opinions on the OpenAI browser, or even just how do you feel about these AI companies having more and more like control or access to your data, right? Because that's all that means, right? The wearables, the glasses, the browser. It just means like more and more access into your life, right? That's really all it means, right? Casual Economist shares that I'm working all day. Yeah, but hopefully not the weekend, Casual Economist. Hopefully you'll be off this weekend. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna also do some grocery shopping. I'm out, guys. I'm out of beer for the weekend, so I gotta I gotta restock on that. So that's a bad situation to be in, right? Especially when it's so hot out. But yeah, it's gonna be a good day and a good weekend coming up here. A hot weekend all over the U.S. and really all over the northern hemisphere. I think everyone here in the chat is in the northern hemisphere, right? So try to stay cool out there this weekend, guys. It's gonna be hot. We're really smack dab in the middle of summer right now in July. So try to stay cool out there as much as you can, guys. But if anybody else wants to chime in or say hello, let me know. For some reason, a lot of people don't care about data privacy. You know, you're 100% right, Casual Economist, and that really worries me. That really worries me. You know why it worries me? Because I don't know if people realize how much of that data is bought and sold. Like data brokering is a huge business out there, right? So that data gets used. You may not realize it, but that data gets used. It gets used in a lot of ways that I really don't always agree with. So you got to be careful. But yeah, you're right, Casual Economist. A lot of people just kind of take like a ho-hum attitude towards it, right? So I try to be protective of my data, but yeah, not everybody does the same. Not everybody does the same, which is too bad. It's too bad. I think people should pay more attention to that. A lot of it affects you a lot of ways, you know, especially financially, right? People don't realize that. Like what these companies, how the companies buy and sell the data, and then how they use it later on once they've bought it, once they can ingest it into their systems and all that. Like, yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. All right, guys, last call for questions or comments before we wrap up here. But I want to thank all of you for contributing and coming. I'm gonna switch over to Instagram and start doing some streaming there. See who's up and around on Instagram. Instagram definitely tends to be busier on the weekends, so we'll see how this weekend goes. But as always, you know, crazy world we live in. So many different things that are going on. So it makes me worry about all of you guys. You know, I don't know if that's a healthy thing or not, but I worry about all my followers because I know there's people all over the world, data enthusiasts all over the world. So please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. See you guys then.